Hey, Briterion Bollection, back-to-back episodes. What's up?
Yes, we really need a catch-up.
Yeah, we're trying to make up for lost time. So, I'm your host, Kevin. This is my wife, Aileen.
Hello.
How you doing?
Again. I guess I'm okay. Just hanging out with Kevin and our cat, Tom Hanks.
Yep, that's his name, Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And we didn't name him. He was already like that.
Yes.
Which
I definitely don't mind.
Yeah, we love him. He's our first-born child.
Yeah, nice way to put it.
Yeah, so it's May the 4th today, but we're not doing any Star Wars movies today.
Yeah, that would probably take too long.
Yeah,
I'll save it for another day.
I'm not dying to do them anyways, because they've been, talked about a lot up the ass. That I don't feel like we need to.
Nice description.
How else can I describe it? So we're going to do a movie that we intended for Women's History Month, but we weren't able to cram it in. So the movie we're going to talk about today is Marie Antoinette, right?
Yes.
Directed by Sofia Coppola, who is Hollywood royalty, right?
Yeah, you can see that.
But you don't like that, right?
No, and I'll get into it in a bit, because I feel like this movie has some sort of nepotism to some degree,
right,
for a few reasons.
Okay.
Starting with her.
Yeah, and you can carry this as much as you want, because I feel like you're more excited to talk about this movie than me necessarily.
Really? I thought you would be.
I mean,
I know you like this movie.
Yeah, I like it, but in a way, it's kind of more of a serious movie, I guess. Like I don't find that much humor to it,
I mean, maybe not, but I do like a lot of the visuals in it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, it's a beautifully shot film. To me, it is more about those aspects. Like I've said before, if a movie has even just one good aspect of it, like one great aspect of it, that makes it a good movie to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so people like Drive, which I don't really like Drive for the story. I like Drive for the cinematography, the wardrobe and the music. That's what I like the movie Drive for. I actually like Only God Forgives more, is the follow-up to that. Yeah. I like that movie a lot more for not just those elements, but the story as well. This film I like more for the costumes, the cinematography.
Yeah.
Those are what I like the most about it. The soundtrack is pretty cool.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Even though I know a few people who are unhappy with the soundtrack, but I just feel that they expected it to be, I guess, a little more traditional, but I definitely don't mind the modern twist to it.
Yeah, it definitely made it more hip, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
I really liked Bring It On at the time,
I feel like I couldn't get into that.
No. I mean, I think that's just not your style. I liked a lot of the, teen movies that were around at the time. Because I mentioned it, and I mentioned this before, like, we got to grow up with the stories. You know what I'm saying? When we were kids, the films just came in line with our age. We were watching Goofy Movie, we were watching Sandlot, and we were kids at the time. Yeah. But then by the time we grew up, it was like Bring It On. We were on the same age as the characters. You know what I'm saying?
Because I knew her because she actually voiced young Anastasia. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she also voiced Kiki in Kiki's Delivery Service, which I assume that a lot of people know by now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew that after the fact, though.
Yeah, and I saw her in Jumanji.
Right, yeah, I remember her there, and I remember seeing her in Interview with the Vampire when that came out.
Well, at the time, I was considered too young to have watched that movie. I still really haven't seen it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I need to watch it again, but I think when I saw it, I didn't love it. It was just like whatever to me.
Just from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like that great of a movie to me, but...
Yeah, maybe I need to watch it again, but I didn't love it at the time. Like it was, but maybe I was too young. The horror I liked at that time was more slasher. Freddy, Jason. You know.
It's probably still you to this day. I mean,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I'm actually not a big horror fan of anything. Not that I find them scary, but it's just one of those movies. It's a type of genre that I just can't sit through.
You don't take it seriously.
No, I don't take it seriously, and I just can't. Like, I don't have the patience to watch those movies. I don't know why.
Yeah, as opposed to me, I've always loved horror. It's actually the first genre I really got into, because I would watch like USA Up All Night, and they would show a lot of horror on that, and so I would be pretty young, but no one else was awake, so I'd watch TV, and that was on, and it was like scary, but I couldn't look away either. It was like I got sucked into watching it. It was just too interesting. You know what I'm saying? And then also, also when I would meet up with my friends or my cousins after that, we'd like to tell like ghost stories or scary stories after that. You know what I'm saying? So that was part of the fun of the horror.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know. I think I just associate horror as being just like
a B genre,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just associate it with a lot of these gringo horror movies that are just bad, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean that's part of the problem of it is people associate it. They look at it as a B genre, so that's why these A24 movies they're like making them really pretentious now, and only now are people appreciating horror because they made them so pretentious. You know what I'm saying? Like artsy fartsy, which actually I don't like that. Like now it's too extreme on the other way. The pendulum totally swung, whereas it was like crap, genre movies before. And now they're like pretentious art house movies, that are horror now. Which it's like to me the best way to do it is put it somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Make horror that's kind of more in the middle.
Yeah.
Of the two. Yeah, to make good art. Yeah, I remember Tina Weymouth from Talking Heads saying this. She said, why Talking Heads was good is because we slapped low art and high art together, and that's what you got.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of artists nowadays don't do that. It's either totally crap or totally pretentious.
It's like nowhere in between.
Whereas that's really, I think, the secret to good art is like stealing from both of those worlds and putting it together.
No, I agree.
So I don't know how we got talking about horror, talking about Marie Antoinette.
Well, because
I mentioned,
you brought up
Interview with the Vampire. So that's where I saw Kirsten Dunst, when I was young. And it was weird that she kissed Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, one of them.
Well, it was Brad Pitt. That was inappropriate.
Yeah.
And even at the time, she said it was gross.
Yeah. So, but she's had a great career. If you look back. So I liked Bring It On, and then even before Bring It On came out, I guess she did Virgin Suicides with Sofia Coppola because that came out like '99, right? And I like, I think I was too young to like get into it at the time. Like, even though I had seen like Fight Club and that was kind of artsy, despite it being violent. But it was like I was like, Virgin Suicides looks a little too artsy for me and not enough fighting in it, But I know my older sister Denise, I think she wanted to see it because I guess she really liked Josh Hartnett at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Not the reason for me to watch.
Yeah, so that's why she wanted to see it because she liked him. But to me, it just looked too artsy. So I think I did end up seeing it when it was like on. I watched Virgin Suicides like when it was on like HBO, maybe when it came out on HBO, but I didn't really get it at the time. You know what I'm saying? Only a little bit later did I start to kind of learn more about movies, and I kind of was like, I kind of got it a bit more. There was like a pivotal summer. It was like I guess it was like 2000. We moved house, and it was down the hill. We lived on top of this hill. In Spring Valley.
I remember because he drove me there.
Yeah, exactly. And then during that summer, we had to move. I guess because we were renting that place, the owner guy, he was an asshole, and he was like, "You guys got to move out." Because
the guy that you claim that he looks like Super Mario.
No, that was a different guy. That's who we ended up going to. So we moved down the hill, and it was like really 11th hour. My mom, they were gonna kick us out, and we had nowhere to go. But my mom like drove around, and she saw some guy.
He really gave you such short notice.
He did. He did. He gave us like a month or less. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And we had a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was hard to pack it all up. But luckily, it was right down the hill. Yeah. So yeah, we found a place to rent right down the hill, another house, and like my mom was always able to get like free HBO for like months and stuff like that. Like whenever we would sign up for New Cox cable.
Yeah, because I don't even think they would even allow that now.
Yeah,
I mean, you would have to be a first-time customer, and then after a few months, they just cut it off. Yeah,
and then I don't know. My mom somehow got a descrambler box or whatever, so that's how I was able to watch a lot of shit. So we had like I got to watch HBO. I got to watch that's where I saw like Fight Club and stuff, and I saw all these movies that just came out on pay-per-view. So that's how I got to see a lot of them. So we got lucky with that. Yeah, I wasn't so lucky. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I've made up for it somewhat.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hanging out with me, you get to see a lot of crap. Yeah, you want to take all the credit, but I did a bit of research myself. Okay. I'm sure you did. Yeah, and then so Sofia Coppola, they worked together on that, and then Sofia Coppola did Lost in Translation, and that came out like 03, I guess late 03. Which I mean I didn't love it at the time, but I guess it's an alright movie. It's kind of a quaint film. It was like even at the time to me, I thought it was a little too pretentious. And she won like the Oscar for like best director or something like that, and she thanked like Wong Kar-wai in her speech, and I was just like, what the hell does she know about Wong Kar-wai? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if she takes film seriously, she has to know something. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I was just being an a-hole at the time, just like, thinking she didn't know, but of course she knows, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and, but Lost in Translation, it seemed a little, like, even Virgin Suicides, they seemed more, like, style than substance, you know what I'm saying? More style than substance. Oh yeah. Which is kind of the Italian way, as I mentioned before, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, I mean, what do you expect from her? Coppola? I mean, that is her bloodline. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess that goes hand in hand with her background. And so... Even though she's a few generations in. Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I'm sure they spent a lot of time in Italy, you know what I'm saying? I guess. So, what year did Marie Antoinette come out? 2006. Yeah, 2006. Before that, Kirsten Dunst did Eternal Sunshine. That was 04, which I love that movie. That was my favorite. Oh, yeah. That's some of my favorite shit. I actually saw that like 2 or 3 times in the theater. You're lucky. I wish I could have seen it. Yeah. Maybe if it ever replays anywhere, I would love to see it. I'm sure they play it in like LA and stuff like that. Yeah, but we don't know. I mean, they might play it at Digital Gym sometime. I could see that. Yeah, hopefully, but I haven't had much faith in them recently. Yeah. They might kill me for this, but I think they really need to step up their game. Only because I personally am too broke to open my own movie theater, but I would have done that if I had all the money. Yeah, well, of course we would. Yeah. We would reopen the Vogue Theater, right? Yeah. Or we could reopen Cinetonala in TJ. Yeah, I'm still sad that didn't work out. Yeah, I'm sad too. So yeah, and I really I really made it a point to see Eternal Sunshine at that time, and people might be like, yeah, bullshit. Like, no, but it's true, because I was a big Michel Gondry fan. I was a big fan of his music videos at the time. So the fact that he was directing something and then Charlie Kaufman wrote it, I was like, oh, I have to watch this shit. So I saw it with my friend at the theater that first time, and I was blown away. I was like, oh shit, this is awesome. You know what I'm saying? And then I think I told my sister, I was like, oh, this movie's great. And I guess she wanted to see it. So then we went, and she loved it too. And so, and so we'll talk about Eternal Sunshine sometime. And so Kirsten Dunst was in that. And and then a couple of years later, she was in this, right? Yeah. So the movie opens with some Gang of Four. Yes. On the soundtrack, right? Yes. And that just sets the tone. Like, this is a different kind of biopic. This is not your grandfather's biopic. Which I'm actually glad. Yeah. But actually, the first time I watched this movie,
My aunt and I saw it together at home because at the time I was living with her. And she had rented the movie from Blockbuster because, she's really into history, especially when it comes to, like
she likes
European.
royalty stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why she wanted to watch it. But when she first sees that open, she's really disappointed that there's a rock song playing. And I'm like, I definitely don't mind it because ever since I can, I guess I could say, since I was a teenager, I like Gang of Four. I mean, I think they're still a pretty good band, and I wish that I could have seen them at least once.
Yeah, I mean, me and Chris were lucky that because we saw them at Kroll World a couple years ago.
Yeah, I missed out on that festival because I was actually in another state during that time. Even though I felt a lot of FOMO not being at that festival, I'm actually glad in a way that I missed it because I would have been really upset if I would have been there when they kicked everybody out due to the weather conditions. Look it up. So Crow World 2023, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it on social media and I was like, oh no. And it definitely made me think of Kevin and Chris, and because I knew that they both went together, and I was like, they must not be happy.
Yeah, I mean, that fucking sucked. So to this day, I've still never seen Susie Sue live.
And you bought the shirt.
I did. I bought a damn shirt there, and some fucking technical storm happens, and they had to kick us all out, and it was just crazy. I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, that must have been how the Red Sox felt in '86. Like, they thought they had the World Series won, and the ball just goes right between your legs. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, how? And they ended up doing it the next night, but there's no way we were able to go back the next night.
I would have gone, honestly. I'm not, for those of you who know me really well, I'm that crazy person that I'll go back just to get my money's worth and just to really live that full experience.
Yeah, I mean, I would have wanted to, but I don't think Chris wanted to, and he wasn't available, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I got a refund for some of them.
But
yeah, it sucked.
It's like, no, I want to see Susie Sue. So just bring her back.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, we open the Gang of Four, and then we see a little shot of her, Marie Antoinette, being fanned by servants, and I love that shot. It's a cool little shot. And the pink, the pink color scheme and the font, the like punk font with the slanted, like it became like really iconic after this. You know what I'm saying? Like every time you see that now, people just associate it with Marie Antoinette. And I remember, before the film came out, like I saw the cast that she was putting together, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. We got Steve Coogan. I'm a big Steve Coogan fan.
Oh my gosh! I think we need to cover a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, we do. Tom Hardy is in it. Faithful. Asia Argento. Rest in peace, Marie Faithful. Girl on the Motorcycle. I love that movie. Yeah, she plays her mom, actually, right? And so Marie Antoinette wakes up in Versailles, which we got to visit, right? During our honeymoon.
Yes, we did. We actually did not go inside the palace because it would have been a 2-hour wait. And I honestly felt that it was just too much to have to wait 2 hours. So we just walked around the garden, and we did go inside the Petit Tunnel, which was great. Yeah,
just walking outside the garden was awesome. I thought it was really cool.
We ended up buying a tiny ass cup of freshly squeezed orange juice that cost €4 at the time. And that was 2018. So I can't imagine how much more it would cost today.
Yeah, and it was made in the little Zoomex, right? They just...
No, I think the guy had one of these like hand squeeze kind of things, which I don't know what they actually call them.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he actually squeezed a couple of oranges into the cup and just handed it to us. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but it was probably merely like 6 ounces of orange
Yeah.
juice.
Yeah, and the thing with Versailles is fucking huge, right? It's like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like 10 Balboa Parks like put together or something. It's pretty damn big.
I don't. Well, that's an exaggeration, but maybe it's half of
It
Belgium.
felt pretty big. Yeah, and then there was a long ass line to get in when we got there. We were in Paris, and then we took the train out there, which was a nice little train ride. It was really cool. Like I could, it was like I think I put on air on my phone on Spotify
Very fitting.
just to like get the vibe, get the ambiance, and it was really cool.
Yeah, very fitting.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember when we got there, it was fucking hot. Like waiting on like in the line outside, it was hot as fuck. I felt like I was in Jerusalem or something. It was super hot. But yeah, it's a pretty cool area. Well, we see Marie grab her little puppy, and it's really cute.
So yeah, because she's coming out of the carriage, right?
Yeah, and that scene feels very Barry Lyndon-y to me, like Kubrick's Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, I see what you're.
I mean, the whole film, obviously, is kind of from that same time period, but that particular shot just reminded me of that. And she walks in, and her mother, played by Marianne Faithfull, and Steve Coogan greet her.
Yeah.
And we see Steve Coogan's smug face that he has there. And we see the picture of the locket that she has that has Jason Schwartzman's face on it, right?
Yeah.
And Jason Schwartzman plays
Louis XVI.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I remember it came out kind of later, the classic picture of them like on set, and he's like, he has his MacBook, and she has like they have their AirPod, like they have the iPhone headphones, and they're listening to something, but they're in costume. That's like a classic photo from the set of this. And the Judy Davis character, played by Judy Davis, she tells Marie that she must leave Austria behind and enter France as the Dauphine of France. And they take the dog from her, right?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, they just stripped the dog from her, right?
She brought the dog with her because she thought, hey, I also get to have him with me in the palace, but no.
Yeah, and she starts to break down crying.
Yeah, well, I would have just gone crazy.
Yeah,
honestly.
Me too. And they tell her, you can have as many French dogs as you like. And it's like, that's not the fucking point, right? I want my dog. Yeah. Yeah, our cats.
Yeah.
And so they, some, servant girls, they undress her, and we see her naked body there.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I really love the cinematography here in general. It looks really pastel-ish, and then we see King Louis Schwartzman. He's like kind of hunting with his boys, right? And he's like kind of being a jackass with them.
Yeah, which is not surprising.
Yeah. And I remember there's this really good documentary on Marc Jacobs. It's called Marc Jacobs and Louis Vuitton. It's really good, and it's very interesting, and you get to see Marc Jacobs' whole like creative process and stuff like that as he maneuvers his own brand and Louis Vuitton. And it's really good. I think it's on Tubi if people want to see it. It's really good. And I remember there was this awkward moment where it was like during one of his fashion shows, and we see Sofia Coppola, and he introduces Sofia to Lil' Kim. He's like, "Oh, Sofia, meet my friend Kim," or whatever, and she's like, "Hi, nice to meet you." It's just really awkward.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good documentary. And then we see fireworks go off in the Versailles Garden. It looks pretty cool. I wish fireworks went off when we were there. That would have been cool.
Yeah, they really do that. I mean,
yeah. but it was
any other normal time. And actually, probably not, because I know that the park usually opens to the public probably around 5 or 6 p.m.
right.
Yeah.
I see. So then we see them, and they're going to bed, and they have to go to bed with all these people surrounding them. I mean,
yeah, that is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I would be like, get out, give us privacy. But
yeah, it's pretty awkward, and it's their honeymoon, so they're kind of like, okay, go at it, and someone says, "Good luck and good work." That's what one of the people says.
Yeah, that's a really weird way to put
it. But it does remind me of Partenope in that scene.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that scene was way worse.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, and if you did not listen to the episode on Partenope, please go back and listen to it.
Watch the film and then.
Well, either one, it doesn't matter. But you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they close the curtains of the bed, and it fades to black.
Yeah.
And we can use our imaginations there.
Yeah.
And
we don't have to really. We'll figure it out.
And then after that, the music that they use is Vivaldi.
Yeah.
And that was also used in the movie All That Jazz, that Bob Fosse directed, which has gotten a renaissance, really. Like, I feel like, 10, 15, 20 years ago, people weren't really talking about that movie, but all of a sudden now everybody wants to talk about that movie, and it's like they're so influenced by All That Jazz. It's like, okay, like that's like a new thing. It's been like the last 5 years people got really into it.
Yeah, it's
kind of annoying. And so they kind of show her the rundown of being royalty, right?
Yeah.
You do this, you do that, show her the etiquette and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's
because the French had different customs to the Austrians, right? Yeah.
They have very different cultures, kind of, right? Despite being European. And we see Louis, he just keeps eating, right?
Yeah.
And he just kind of blows her off.
Like, wow, he really indulges.
Yeah. And you're saying that he might have been gay, right? Like,
I guess there is some speculation.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised because, and even, especially to this day, I would say, if when you look at a lot of royalty that's still around to this day, I feel like a lot of the males in royalty could be gay. They're just closeted because they want to avoid a scandal, or which hey, if you no longer want to hide it, it's just come out.
Right.
I just feel like, and a lot of them just face a lot of frustration, or they just, I don't know. I could really talk about
go on and on about it.
Yeah, but maybe I just shouldn't take up too much time. But I just feel that if it makes you feel more comfortable, just be you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah, it's true. I guess they're just, too concerned about like their legacy and shit like that. So yeah, her mom, Marie's mom, Marianne Faithfull's character, tells her that she's concerned about their lack of intimacy, right? And yes. And she's also concerned, and Steve Coogan's character is also concerned that Marie isn't being nice to Asia Argento's character, Madame du Barry.
Well, Madame du Barry did not deserve. She did not deserve the attention that she was craving.
Right, but they tell her, oh, like, you have to be nice to her because she's the king's favorite mistress, right?
Yeah, which is not a good look already.
Yeah, but
at least for the time.
Yeah, but it's almost like Marie doesn't give a shit, right?
Yeah. Even though I did want to mention earlier, because I feel like we're going a little bit fast on this. But you see the first, so the first time that Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI are having dinner together. You can see that they don't know anything about each other. Like, they just brought them together, but it's kind of like, okay, so we're both getting married and, we're going to become the Dauphin and Dauphine of France.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she's just sitting there, she's just sitting there next to him at the dinner table, and she just kind of goes like, like she's trying to bring up anything to, to start. She just wants to break the ice with him, as he just keeps eating. Like, it's like he finishes one mouthful, brings another one to his mouth, like right after. And she asks, and she tells him, "Oh, I heard that you make keys as a hobby." And his response was,
yeah, what does he say?
He says, "Yes." And she asks him, "So you enjoy making keys?" And he says,
"Yes."
Obviously, that was his response.
Yeah.
So that just kind of shows that it's like he just wasn't interested in her. It's like he just thought, oh, it's just an arranged marriage, as it is with. No.
Right.
It's kind of like, I don't really have to interact with her, really. And to me, that's just, it's sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed pretty loveless, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it just, like you're saying, it seemed like he wasn't interested in females in general, right?
Probably not.
He was kind of asexual, right? Like, at the very least.
Maybe. And you can see in some of these scenes where, it's like they're going to bed at the end of the night, and she tries to get his attention, and he makes excuses. Like,
right.
Yeah, he'll be like, "Oh, I'm tired," or yeah, yeah, or like, "I have a big day tomorrow," something like that.
Yeah. He finds a way to postpone it or whatever.
Yeah. But I remember one of those nights, like, she gets close to him, and he gets ticklish, so he lets like some giggle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a silly thing, right?
Yeah.
I
guess it's probably one of the few funny moments in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to Madame du Barry, played by Asia Argento, who, so her father is Dario Argento, who's a great horror filmmaker. He did the original Suspiria, and he's done many classic Italian horror films, which, I really like Italian horror films because they have a certain style to them, more style than substance. It's very, cool cinematography, cool editing, and they always try to have a bunch of hot naked girls in the movies. And so that's and his daughter was one of those girls.
Yeah, I would say very objective, should I say?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, objectifying.
Objectifying. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah. So, in her role as Madame du Barry, the other girls consider her a whore, but Coogan's character stressed to Marie that she must talk to her and initiate the conversation. Coogan has more lines in this than I remember. I'm a big fan of his, going back to the Alan Partridge series, and I love most everything he's done. Like all the series he's done, I loved him. Saxondale, yeah, that's hilarious. If you haven't seen Saxondale, that's a really funny series. And in this movie, I know he's not funny in this, but I don't think he minded. I think he wanted to be taken more seriously. I think he still does. And yeah, he should be in more serious movies. I think he could really pull it up. Like if I made a film, I would love to work with him. I would like to see him in horror, actually. I think he could do really well. I think A24 should try to get his ass on the horn, honestly. Because I think he could do a good job with it. Yeah, I really like this radio department song that kicks in here. Which we actually saw them at Coachella, didn't we?
Yeah, some years ago.
That was like 2011 or something, right?
Yeah, when we would still go.
Right. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, and they're kind of forgotten. But
yeah, I feel like I don't really hear people talk about them anymore.
But I was like excited to see them because I was like, oh, I like these guys, whatever.
Yeah. No,
And
they were good.
yeah, they're really good. So the doctor or someone asks Louis, right? Like they ask him, "Do you find your body responsive?" Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, which I guess you can put two and two together what he means by that, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't have that pill at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they go to the opera, right?
Yeah, they do.
And when it ends, Marie just starts clapping.
Yeah, she just stands up and claps, and everyone at first gives her a weird look. But then as she just keeps on clapping, then you start seeing that a few people follow along until everybody in the at the opera, actually starts clapping.
Right. So are they trying to say that she invented clapping or she invented standing ovations or whatever?
I guess they're implying that she invented the standing ovation.
Right. I mean, that's pretty cool. Because, yeah, like things aren't a thing until somebody famous kind of does it. You know what I'm saying? This kind of reminds me of like JFK. You know, when he was sworn in as president, he didn't wear a hat to his inauguration, you know? And so that's the thing. When you see old movies, like 20s, 30s, 40s movies, all the guys have hats. You know, they all wear hats. It was like a thing. If you're out in the public, you need a hat, like a wide brim hat. And every president at their inauguration, they all wore hats to it because it's always outside, right? But I guess, you know, JFK, he's the first president to not wear a hat to the inauguration. And because of that, guys stopped wearing hats. That's why you stopped seeing movies where guys wore hats after that, after 1960. Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I'm super interested in anyway, so.
Right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, things don't become a thing until somebody famous kind of does it, you know? So Marie gets a letter from her mom saying that her sister is pregnant. And...
But then she starts feeling the pressure more.
Yeah. She's sad because they haven't gotten pregnant yet, her and Louis, right?
Yes.
And, you know, the public and the people around them, they keep blaming her for the lack of a child, right? Yes. But it's really him.
Yeah.
You know, and she breaks down and cries after she sees Rose Byrne's character with her newborn baby.
Yeah.
You know, because she really wants that of her own. And then there's this I Want Candy montage.
Oh, yeah.
Bow wow wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's eating all these sweets.
That was the start of, one of her many lavish parties.
Right, yeah. Because that was like her thing, right? She liked having parties. And she's eating sweets and trying on shoes and they're playing cards. And it's just, she's having a field day with this. And Rose Byrne's character suggests to her, "Oh, why don't we go to the mass ball in Paris?" And you know, they're kind of like, "Okay, well, let's do it." And then we hear "Hong Kong Garden" by Susie kick in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear that live.
So, see, that's a huge disappointment.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So they're at this party, and the actor Matthew Almaric, who I really like, he's really cool. He asks Louis if the Dauphin has done the deed yet, and he just walks away. I think that's the only scene he's in. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't remember seeing Matthew Almaric in any other scenes in the film. It's just maybe it's just a cameo kind of. And so at the party, Marie sees some guy and she like makes eye contact with him, and he walks over to her and kind of chats her up, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a illicit thing that happens there. And then we hear Plain Song by The Cure.
Yes.
Kick in, right? Integration.
Yes, it's from this.
Great album, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them. I mean, how many times have you seen them? Once?
I think I've only seen them once. I don't know why it just never happened that I didn't get to see them more times. Because, and every time that I try to see them, something always happened. And I just didn't ultimately end up going.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, they're great. The Cure. And then we see them celebrate her 18th birthday with another big ass party, right?
Yeah.
Just, it's very lavish. It's very decadent.
Yeah, which is, yeah. I guess I don't want to get...
That was part of the problem, right?
Yeah, that was part of the problem.
And then finally, she gives birth, right? And everyone is gathered around for this, and but she gives birth to a girl, so
yeah, I guess there is some sort of disappointment there.
Right. Yeah. Everyone is disappointed except for her, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think she was a little bit, but she didn't want to have to show it. Yeah. I think ultimately she was happy.
Right. But it's not what everybody wanted.
Yeah, it's not what she was expecting.
Yeah. And she like wants to feed the baby herself, but like they don't let her, you know. Yeah. They kind of just take her away or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It sucks. It's pretty sad. Like seeing this, you know, you feel bad for her. And then in the next scene, we see some musicians there, and those musicians are played by this band called Phoenix, right?
Which are also from Versailles.
Yeah, great band.
Yeah, so just like your
Yeah.
Phoenix is also.
Yeah, they're homies, right?
Yes.
I mean, is Daft Punk from that area too, or they're from Paris?
From Paris.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not entirely certain.
And
which actually, I will start Googling.
And Sofia ended up getting with Thomas Mars, who's the lead singer of Phoenix.
Yes.
And this is probably where they met, I guess. I mean, because so Air did the soundtrack for Virgin Suicides, right? Which has been kind of infamous, you know?
Yeah.
And the great song from that soundtrack is Playground Love. And the vocals for that song were done by Thomas Mars from Phoenix. So I don't know if she already knew him.
I think they've known each other for
a while.
For quite a while now.
Yeah. But but I don't think they dated until after this. Because even when she did Lost in Translation, she actually dated Tarantino for a little bit.
No, yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, which was weird, but yeah.
I actually, which actually, well, I think probably I would say maybe most of his romantic experiences are weird, including his current one, which I could honestly talk about for political reasons, but I'll save that for some other time.
Yeah, this is not a political show or channel. Yeah,
but I'm not afraid to talk about it if I have to.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know, Phoenix is a great band, and it's funny because like they just kind of play for her, you know, they're just there to entertain her.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird but cool that they're in it, and I was really loving Phoenix. I mean, that's the thing. This movie came out in 2006, so they already put out like 3 albums, I guess. But yeah, I even though I heard those albums, I didn't really like any of their shit until.
Well, and that's funny because the same year that movie came out, they had an album come out, and I
was it Alphabetical? Yeah.
Yeah. And I listened to it at the time, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm really into these guys. I mean,
Yeah,
they're okay, but I don't love them. Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, and I heard it too, and I was like, it's like I want to like these guys, but I wasn't liking it. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason.
Like I wasn't loving it, so I thought, oh, okay, whatever.
So maybe these guys aren't for me. But then I remember I was working at Target, and
Yeah.
it was '09, and I saw that, this new Phoenix album came out, and I was like, even though I don't like these guys, I'll just buy it. I was like, let me just buy it and just listen to it.
But it's funny how at the time you would just take risks just based on what you would find there.
Yeah, I would just see albums and just buy them sound unheard. You know what I'm saying? If I like the cover, I'll buy it. You know what I'm saying? I like taking chances on it like that. And usually I was right. Usually if I like the cover art or whatever and I bought the album, I would end up liking what I heard. So I remember popping in this Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix album in my Nissan Sentra CD player, popping it in and then driving around like, holy shit, like this is pretty good. I was like, this is hella good. I was like, well, what? Like these guys made leaps and bounds of improvement on their previous shit. So I was like, yeah, this is hella good. And then it started. I could see it. It started getting popular. I could see like when we went to Coachella the next year, people were playing it a lot, and they were getting bigger. I could see that. I was like, oh shit, this isn't just me.
Well,
it's like
that's the thing, because it was that same 2009. It was the same year that the album came out.
Yeah.
And they were, they were playing that from 94.9 event in December.
Yeah.
And that sold out really quickly, and I think it was because they were playing and people were suddenly really interested in them. I freaked out because I almost didn't make it because of it selling out. I almost didn't find a ticket.
Yeah.
But someone at the last minute ended up selling me a ticket because I guess he was supposed to go and he wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
Some random guy on Craigslist. So I ended up buying the ticket from him, and yeah, Kevin and I made it there together.
Yeah, and at that show it was really good. Also, Vampire Weekend also played, right? Yeah. And Phoenix was almost like, shit, like these guys are going crazy for us. This is like Beatlemania, you know what I'm saying? Like the crowd was just like, wow, like they were so into it that you could see the look on their face, like, damn, like they're really fucking with us. Like they're kind of shocked how big they got, Yeah. So it was interesting seeing that, and that's the thing. What's funny is that I listened back to their previous albums after that, and all of a sudden I liked them a lot more. I was like, oh shit, these albums are pretty good. I didn't get that at the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's happened to me too. But it's just like, wait, how did I not like this before?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. To me, their first song from their first album, to me, is actually their best song they've ever done, which is "If I Ever Feel Better." That song is so fucking good.
No, that song is great.
And the lyrics are just insanely good, for English not being their first language, you know what I'm saying? Like, those lyrics are just from the heart. Like, you listen to that, it's like poetry when you see the lyrics of that. It's just...
I think they're pretty simple lyrics when you think about it. But they're pretty well put together.
Yeah, it's like you feel his heart in it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about it. I love that song, If I Ever Feel Better. To me, that's one of the greatest songs of all time. It's such a good song. Which I was also thinking, maybe we should do for Briterion Music. You know how we have that book, 1,000 Songs to Hear Before You Die, or whatever? Yeah. We should do our own version of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should do our own, compile together our own songs and do that. Coming soon from Briterion Bollection. 1,000 Songs to Hear Before You Die. Our take on it. So anyways, that was our little Phoenix spiel. So then Marie, and she starts hooking up with this Swedish guy, right?
Yes.
And that's the guy she met at the party, right?
Yeah, that is the guy she met at the party.
And
which is actually, I forget his name. And I just had it here. Oh, he's Count Axel von Fursten. Yeah. And he's actually played by Jamie Dornan. Right. Who is mostly known nowadays for having played
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, Dorian Gray. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
which actually, interesting fact, I first heard of him because at the time, most people probably don't remember, but he actually briefly dated Keira Knightley.
Oh, really?
And yeah, which
So was this after Bend It Like Beckham?
oh yeah, this was after Bend It Like Beckham. Well, yeah, if you haven't listened to that episode yet.
Nice plug. Listen to our Bend It Like Beckham episode, Briterion Bollection. But continue. Go ahead.
But no, I'm pretty much finished. I just wanted to say
that. You just wanted to say that he did date Keira Knightley?
Yeah, well, I mean, which I actually thought interesting, and I just wondered because I knew at the time he wasn't that big of an actor, but then that's how he would just end up blowing up by playing Dorian Gray, which I'm not interested in 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, I haven't watched any of those movies, but they look bad to me.
Yeah, they seem quite strange. Yeah. And I don't know if I want to see something that's like based off like Twilight fan fiction or some shit. Wasn't it like something like that?
Something like that, but
yeah, no. I'm straight. Anyways, so yeah, and so she starts hooking up with him, and Rose Byrne and her friends, they're still talking shit about her. Yeah. Oh, and then but we see that great shot of her naked with the fan. Like that's a really cool shot.
Well, that's right? Isn't that the cover for the for the soundtrack?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So yeah, if you get the CD soundtrack, yeah, you see that. Yes. I love, but that to me is an iconic picture. And she looks out the window and she imagines the Swedish guy, and he looks like Napoleon on his horse, right?
You mean Count Axel von Fürsten?
Yeah, Count Axel von Fürsten. Yeah. Yes. She imagines him like Napoleon on his horse, right?
Yeah. And you can even see that the iconic image of Napoleon on him. Yeah. On the horse, where the horse like jumps up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then we hear strokes. Whatever happened? Kick in.
Yeah, and you just see her like running in like baby steps.
Yeah.
Like, I
wanna be forgotten. Great. And yeah, she runs to the bed and fantasizes about this Swedish guy, right?
Yeah.
Fantasizes. Yeah. And then we see after that King Louis is planning on sending troops to America, quote unquote, to help the Americans beat the English. So we can see the type of timeline. So like the French Revolution and the American Revolution happened around the same time. That's what's kind of interesting. And so they're kind of plotting that, and then we cut to her in the bathtub, and she's just saying, "Let them eat cake," right? She just says that.
Is that where she says it?
Yeah. But you don't know if it's a fantasy kind of, or did she really say that? It's kind of like
because at that point, do you already start seeing all these protests?
I mean, it happens like right after that, or yeah, I think you do.
I mean, because
I think they're protesting maybe him because he's like sending French troops to the American colonies. They're kind of boycott.
Was this already before the Dauphin was born?
Yeah, it was right before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like they're already they're boycotting, because they're kind of like, why are you getting involved in that shit? Why are you sending French troops for that shit? So they're pissed off, and then you see her just in the bathtub saying like, "Let them eat cake," but it's kind of like oblique, like you don't know if that's a fantasy or if it really happened. So her maiden reads the newspaper to her, and she tells them like, they say that you said let them eat cake, and she's like, I would never say that. Like she denies it, right?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. So it's kind of, part of her legend. Like, did she really say that or did she not? It's kind of interesting. It almost reminds you of like Babe Ruth, because that was so long ago, you don't know truth from fiction. Like Babe Ruth, there's actually footage of it, but legend says in the World Series that the Yankees played the Cubs like it was like 1933 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there's a legend that he pointed to the center field like, I'm gonna hit a home run. Like they call it the called shot because it's like he's calling his shot. Like there's a legend that he pointed there, and then on the next pitch he hit a home run or whatever, right in center. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And people don't know if that's true or not, though. There were some old witnesses who were still alive, who they asked, like, oh, so did he really do that or not? And they were like, yeah, he pointed at something, but we don't know what it really was, or, there's, over time things, the legend gets twisted, and so you don't know. And after this whole cake thing, they tell her that her mother has died. Yes. Right? And she's sad about that, but when one door closes, another one opens, right? Mm-hmm. So she finally gives birth to a boy, the Dauphin. Dauphin, right? Dauphin would have been the she. Oh yeah, the Dauphin, and but it might not be Louis's kid, right? Yeah, well, you can see that when after she has given birth, she comes over and to see the baby. And you can see that in her face that she starts freaking out. Right. Like, she kind of looks like, oh, I'm afraid he'll find out about it. Like, but you don't know exactly what. Right. Yeah. And then he just plays along and he says, like, oh, like, it's like, now you're the mother of a Dauphin. Yeah. And then you just see the whole town is making a big deal about it. Right. Yeah. And it's almost like maybe he didn't care, maybe. Yeah, no, that's what I thought. It was like he's just happy that they finally had a boy, right? Yeah. Even if it's not really his. Exactly. And then we see her posing for a portrait with the kids, yes. Right? And, when that portrait is posted, someone puts that she's ruining France on it, right? Yeah, she's the queen of death. Yeah, exactly. And once again, we see her at the opera, and the show ends, and she claps. She gives a standing ovation. Yes, but this time, nobody follows along because they really hate her at this point, so that they don't want to associate themselves with anything she's doing. Right. Yeah. And then after that, we see them putting up a painting up with her and the kids, but then you see them take it back down, and then they put it up again. Because it was her with 3 of the kids. Right. Yeah. And then they take it down, and then they bring it back, and the baby is missing from the bassinet. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty sad. Because apparently, that child had died of tuberculosis. I mean, from what I remember reading, I may be wrong, but I think that was the cause of death. Right. Yeah. Very sad. It's a good way to tell the story, though. It's just purely visual, though. I like that. Yeah. Just through the painting, you know what I'm saying? To explain it. Yeah. And so they have to have a funeral for the baby and the little coffin. It's pretty sad. Mm-hmm. And then we see her walking amongst the pointy trees, in Versailles. And it reminds me of the film Last Year at Marienbad, which is a great film. If you haven't seen it, it's a great French new wave film from the 60s, directed by Alain Resnais, who also did Hiroshima, Mon Amour. Yeah. He's a great director. Yeah, just like those pointy trees, it just reminds me of like the classic shots from Last Year at Marienbad. Yeah. Well, speaking of that movie, my work used to have an artwork displayed based on it, but because sometimes certain artwork and some of the collections like to get switched out, or let's just say that they have to get switched out from time to time just to show new things or just for conservation reasons.
It didn't last there too long, so yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
There should be more Last Year at Marienbad artworks out there.
Sure.
So we see they're having tea in the yard, right?
Yes.
And one of Louis's boys runs up to him and tells him that an angry mob has stormed the Bastille, right?
Yes.
And they urge them to go to Austria. But the king says he'll stay, and Marie says she'll stay with him, right? And then it's kind of interesting. We hear this piano version of the Strokes song. It's an interesting take on it, and all the maidens leave. And she hugs each of them, one by one, and they're concerned for their safety, so they let them leave, and they urge them to leave. His staff and stuff, but he says he doesn't want to be a fugitive king. And I guess you got to give him props for going down with the ship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been safe in Austria. They had like a big ass castle that nobody would have penetrated, but
you would think.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that. So then the crowd comes and storms Versailles, right? And she's in bed and she can hear them. She can hear them coming. And yeah, to me, this is like, talk about politics. Like, this is like what needs to be done with Trump, I think. Like I could see it going in that direction, honestly. Like, if things get worse and like too bad, like horrible, like unbearable, even for people who voted for him, there would need to be some sort of revolution that kind of overthrows him.
Yeah, you would think so, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, some people claim that they regret voting for him, but I'm like, I don't think you regret it enough if you haven't done anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They probably just don't think that they could do anything at this point. But I mean, I think if things keep going in the wrong direction, I think the public will, they could take it into their own hands. Like, if you get, people on the right and the left agreeing against him, then that could cause problems for him, I think. And they'll have their right to bear arms against him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he'd want that. So yeah, Marie goes to the balcony, and she can see the angry mob there, and she bows, and it's silent as the crowd looks at her. But after she bows, like, the crowd starts up again. They start being loud, and they're at the dinner table after that, and she looks sickly. She looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
And he looks at her, and she nods her head. And he sticks his finger up, and his servants give him a drink. And they both drink from it and hold hands, right?
Yeah.
And, it's kind of Romeo and Juliet-esque. Like, it's like, even though they didn't have a loving relationship, it's like they kind of did here. You know what I'm saying?
I guess at that point they had to show support for each other.
Yeah. And after that, they're put in a carriage. And I love this shot. Like, she looks at the sun over Versailles. Yeah, I love that shot. Like, them in the carriage, and then there's the sun peeking through there.
Yeah.
And then after that, we see, like, their room. It's all jacked up, right? It's
all destroyed.
Yeah. It almost reminds you of the picture of Whitney Houston's dresser that Kanye bought to use for the Pusha T Daytona album. Reminds you of that.
Yeah, which is so wrong.
Right.
Honestly, I don't know. That's something that should have been.
Yeah, I don't know if yeah, it was kind of in bad taste, but it was a good album. I think Pusha T did a really good album with that. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the film.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. But in the carriage towards the end, you can see that they have the kids with them, and it's just really sad that, just like how they're all brought together, and
Mm-hmm.
they're about to, the kids are about to see, what will happen.
Right. Yeah. That they'll have to see the demise of their parents, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad, at the end of the day, it is kind of a tragic story of iconic figure. Any other things come to your mind after watching this again?
Well, I would say, one of the things that really comes to mind is that they really put a lot of money into the costume design. I was actually really impressed by that. Because it's not like, I feel like a lot of, I feel like a lot of, I would say a lot of production, they tend to cut corners, so they tend to, like, slash the budget here and there. But I feel that with that movie, you could tell that they really didn't mind putting in a lot of money when it came to, when it came to the attire.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something that Sofia really wanted to capture, like, like I was saying, like, Italians really care about style, so that's something that they really emphasize, and the wardrobe designer, costume designer, Milena Canonero, she's really great. She's done a lot of great films throughout history. She's worked with Kubrick. She did Barry Lyndon. She's worked with Wes Anderson. She did Grand Budapest Hotel. She's done a lot of great stuff. So she's a great artist. Like, to me, having her, if you have her in your wardrobe design, like, that's already a coup. I want to see the movie if she's on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I would love to work with her if I could ever, direct something. Yeah, she's worked with Wes a lot. She she worked on her father's film, her father's recent film, Megalopolis. She's doing Wes Anderson's next film, The Phoenician Scheme. She did Asteroid City. She did French Dispatch. She did another film by Eleanor Coppola, Paris Can Wait. She did, like I said, Grand Budapest Hotel. She did, I think she's worked with Roman Polanski a few times. She did Darjeeling Limited. She did Life Aquatic. She did 3 films with Steven Soderbergh around the same time. She did Solaris. She did his section of Eros, which is an anthology film, which also has a short from Wong Kar-wai called The Hand, which is really good. People should watch that. And she also did Ocean's 12 with him. She did Bulworth with Warren Beatty. She did Titus with Julie Taymor, who I think is great. Julie Taymor also directed Across the Universe, which you hate.
Well, I just, honestly, I really couldn't sit. I don't know. I feel like I couldn't sit and watch that movie for more than a few minutes.
Right.
I just didn't have the patience for it. Maybe I'll try again, but I just feel like the songs are really overdone.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Across the Universe sometime, but I was trying to get my sister Denise to watch it, and she couldn't. She was having a hard time rewatching it.
See, I don't know.
So, well, you know what Milena Canonero's first film was that she did? One of my favorite films from Stanley Kubrick, Clockwork.
Oh.
So that was her first film.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now that makes sense, but
right, because it's
amazing movie.
Really, yeah, love that movie. Which Roger Ebert actually didn't like that movie, believe it or not.
Well,
he just felt like it was too violent. Like it was just violent for the sake of just being violent. He didn't think there was any reason for it. I know.
he probably didn't fully pay attention to it then.
I mean, he was a smart guy, so I don't get why he didn't get that. But then again, he also hated stepbrothers. So, and interesting enough, so Milena Canonero, she's married to the actor Marshall Bell, who his main thing for me is that he's been in a few Paul Verhoeven movies. So he was in Total Recall. He plays the guy with the Quato character. He's like attached to his body, so that's probably the coolest thing he's done. I didn't know she was married to him. Any other words on Marie Antoinette?
Well, one thing that that I still think about the movie, maybe at the time it wasn't a bad thing, but there is a bit of nepotism going on with it.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
I mean, maybe not nepotism, but it's kind of like when you work on such a project, it's like you look for your friends and family and cast them, which I think is good. I mean, in that case, I don't mind it, but I just feel that nowadays it's like, let's say that, especially with the newer actors that are out there, the only reason why they make it out there is because their parents are, or they have some other family member that's already in the industry and they get them in there despite the fact that they're not very talented.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have to say that I do like a lot of these actors that are in this movie. I guess that's just one thing that, I mean, Sofia Coppola is, I guess she's a quote unquote nepo baby herself, even though I do think that she is more talented than this newer generation.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, and to play devil's advocate, which I rarely do, honestly. I don't like playing devil's advocate, but most directors usually work with their same casts, like, often. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is a problem because, and this is one thing that's really frustrating to me when it comes to the industry, is that there's a lot of talent out there that's really struggling to make it. And there are a lot of talented people out there. But I feel that a lot of times in Hollywood they cast a lot of the same people and they're not good.
Yeah.
Some of them are just not good.
Right.
It's like, why are these people even out there?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure it's still like this because, in Hollywood, if you're not aware out there, like, every few months, basically, they put out a list, like, these are the actors you need in this film to get financing, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't get them, then you're not going to get enough money to make this film, so they.
Yeah, it's a stupid strategy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been like that for a while, honestly.
Yeah, which I don't care how long it's been going for. It just makes it wrong. Because it's just very limited.
Yeah, no, I agree. You just get, you get just the same people in the same movies, and you don't get interesting new blood at all. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've always thought that was lame, having just stars and everything. You know what I'm saying? People who are popular, and I mean now it's like to the point where you have like influencers. Like you need this influencer in this movie now. You know what I'm saying? To get the the money for this.
Yeah, despite not having prior experience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, or they don't even know how to convey something. If you
how to act, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I mean,
I agree.
I guess I just didn't want to have to put it in those words, but you said it for me. So
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I guess I could understand the Coppola family a little bit because it's like they're Italian. They keep it in their family. You know what I'm saying? It's like The Godfather. And it's like, hey, you know, why pay someone a lot more when I can get a discount by casting my cousin? You know what I'm saying? Or my brother or something. You know what I'm saying? My brother can be a second unit director. I don't need to pay some other guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's you know, it's Coppola produced. You know what I'm saying? It's American Zoetrope, so it's their own money pretty much. You know, obviously they get investors and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think that's how they looked at it. You know, but yeah, it's an interesting. You know, it's an interesting point that you make, and it would be interesting, you know, like if they had a mandate in Hollywood or something like, oh, every film needs to have a different cast or a different crew. You can't keep the same, you know, actors or whatever. That would be interesting if they mandated that, because you know, it would be. I think it would be interesting. You'd have to. It would be like a cook, a chef who has to use. You can't make the same dish twice. You know, it's like he has to use different ingredients every time. I mean, that would be interesting because it would be a challenge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, even though I have heard of restaurants do that before, it's not common.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if. Well, I don't know who else is familiar with this, but there used to be this restaurant in New York called Prune. At least that's what I remember it was called. And it pretty much every night it had a it had a different menu because it was run as a it was pretty much run as a zero waste restaurant. So if there were some ingredients used for a dish and there were scraps left from it, then those scraps were used for some other dishes to be done the next day. And but despite the fact that this was a pretty successful restaurant, it ended up closing partly due to COVID, but also partly due to the fact that it ultimately got pretty expensive to run. So
right.
Yeah, but I mean but that restaurant would rotate its menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see that in film someday.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, we got to go now, but thanks for joining us on this podcast episode, Briterion Bollection, Marie Antoinette. I'm your host, Kevin. This is my wife, Aileen.
All right, goodbye.
We'll see you next time. Peace out. Bye.